or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello, this is the Ultimate Remedy, People's Awareness Coalition, America's Road Home. Anyway, suppose you're an idiot, and suppose you are a member of Congress, but I repeat myself. That is Mark Twain. Anyway, to deal with legislatures, PAC is about having you understand that your national legislature is Congress. They control you through your political agreement under the 14th Amendment. And that's been my mantra for going on 20 years now. I haven't changed anything that I professed. And like I said last hour, and I've said before, I started understanding what the problem was when I stopped listening to other people. So anyway, we're talking with Christie Aphrodite today, and she's telling us her woes of she's experienced since she's become a truth seeker herself. So anyway, back to what she's about, and I don't mind talking about the things she's gone through, but I also want to hit this hour the positive things she's done. But we don't have to do that right this moment. She can continue on at the favor of what she wants to do as far as talking about her past experiences and the problems. They are a problem. I said I haven't been bothered. That's not true. To a point, locally or in person, I haven't been bothered. But the internet, they've trashed me a lot. I mean, between taking PAC's page down off Wikipedia within 2 days because it had too much truth in it, and various web attacks or site attacks on the internet, and false postings. There's been plenty of that. So yeah, I've had my share of dealings with these evil people Christie's talking about. Anyway, back to you, Christie. Where were we anyway?
Yeah, I'm game for whatever, wherever. And I just want to say, sharing my woes and troubles and this and that, I don't view them that way anymore. I talk about them only as a message of overcoming and accomplishment. And again, talking about what you, I guess, want to gear towards, whether it's the healing, medicine making, whatever, the more natural life. I mean, again, it all happened because of this. So I'm extremely grateful, and I have a great respect for the high honor that I was entrusted with on that difficult path. So.
Yeah, I didn't mean to degrade or diminish, what you've gone through.
Of course. I just want to clarify that, because sometimes, and, I sound passionate because I am. And I mentioned earlier, I get a little anxious talking about it because, the PTSD, but it's not that I don't, I want to overcome all of that and the anxiety associated with it. And again, it's, people will be like, oh, don't talk about it. You're just, why are you complaining? I'm like, I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing because so many people are in this situation or worse, and they think there's no way out. And I was one of those people that thought there was no way out, that they're so much bigger than me. And anyone who saw or is yet to see the whole story, it's mind-boggling, it's mind-blowing, and you'll probably be thinking like, oh my God, she's never going to make it. And it's crazy that I did, but that's what that's my message today, is that we can survive anything. So whether it's the family I was born to, the programming, the MK Ultra there, whether it was the government and blah, blah, blah coming down on you, or the stupid stalkers or insignificance, things like that, your children taking, like the illnesses, like all of these things that people look at as insurmountable, they in fact are not insurmountable. And being that I had to go through all of those things at the same time, completely alone, I'm living proof that anyone can survive anything. So I would hope that, you know, people made me into an example, and that silenced a lot of people. And I feel horrible for that, because this is why. You are only as sick as your secrets. And when you sell out your soul, say, to stay silent on whatever somebody paid you off for, or to keep a job, or this and that, you will pay for it with your physical body. And that's where, like, you know, I guess it's kind of a good segue into, you know, the healing, because people think when they come to me, because again, we're so used to going to doctors, and I have this issue, what do I take? Well, let me tell you something. 99% of the time, it's not what you take. It's what you take away. What are you doing that's causing whatever the issue is? And it is not just physical. I do not deal with people that look at illness as only physical. It's a waste of my time, because they're not going to improve. And when people come to me, I want that to be the last session they ever need with anyone, ever. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody wants to come back to me after they have a session with me, I would consider that an insult. And I mean, there's a few different levels here. If it's for a physical issue and they came back to me, then I failed. And people need to look at that when you go to healers or doctors or this and that. And even the alternative, you know, holistic industry, it's turned into the same thing in mainstream. They're prescribing herbs or this and that. And then you go to the store and you buy those same pills. It's like the exact same programming, and those pills aren't even natural. So my approach is eliminate the middleman in all areas of your life, like what you do legally, okay, and what I do or preach in every other aspect of life, whether it is your food supply or, you know, really, I think that's the key to everything. Eliminate the middleman. And that's how we build community and share knowledge and love one another and help and find out the truth instead of, look, the only reason people treated me the way they did is because they believed what some stranger said about another stranger. And the only reason that happens is because we live a disconnected, unnatural life. What are we disconnected from? Well, all that which is natural. When it comes to healing and learning the secrets, look to nature. Let's say you cut off a worm, their tail or whatever. What happens? They grow it back. You know, any issue that goes on in Mother Nature, these people grow their body parts, people, I'm calling them. Yeah, but they grow their body parts back. Why do they grow their body parts back? Because they're eating a natural diet. We are the only species on the planet that regularly are disconnected from our source. And once we eliminate the middleman, again, get away from the cells, get away from the every cell. I meant cell phones, the job cells, the family cells, literally every cell or every prison that you've put yourself in. And that's the ultimate remedy, to use your term, when it comes to health and healing.
That's right. I can't argue one part of that. So
I've seen so many people, and this is, it's terrible. And I feel bad for them, but again, it's the life they choose to lead. And again, that's another reason why my story does have to be shared in its entirety, because we think that people live in fear. They're afraid to do and live the life that they're meant for because of fear. So whether it's fear of government, whether it's fear of not having a paycheck and, oh my God, what if I become homeless, or fear, whatever it is. What if people look at me funny? I can't talk about this. I can't say that. Or
right.
and you know what? It is causing illness. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? I'll tell you the worst thing that's going to happen. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to end up like me. Check out my videos on youtube.com/Christie Aphrodite. It's actually not a bad place to be. You'll see the suffering, you'll see the tears, you'll see the crying, you'll see the shame, but you'll also see the triumph. Okay, so when you feel you can't overcome whatever it is you can, and I know for a fact, and I learned through this process that I went through the last few years, that, see, when I ended up in Florida, I was the picture of health, all right, or what we all thought health is. The diet, the glowing skin, the, blah, blah, blah. When I left Florida, I was a decrepit, dying little, I was unrecognizable. And not only that, let me tell you something. Everything I thought I knew about health, I wouldn't say was wrong, but I'll say did not work. Do you know why it didn't work? Because I was missing the other layers, the pain, the trauma, the not being allowed to speak, the not being, so once I figured that out and started using discernment in people that I chose to surround myself with, my physical illnesses went away just by me changing a physical environment or who I was hanging out with at the time. So sometimes that included making myself homeless by leaving a castle. Sometimes that included me leaving a job where I was being abused or some other stifling, soul-crushing condition. Yes, there was fear involved. However, the risk completely outweighed the pain that I was already living, right? So whatever the hell I was living I couldn't live it anymore. So what other choice did I have but to take the risk and go forth? And yeah, so the secrets of nature really it has the key to every single thing we want to heal. And I wish this knowledge for everyone.
Amen.
Yeah, I found that out too. If you want to stay healthy, stay away from doctors.
Exactly. I have to tell a little tale here again. So when I became this racist domestic terrorist child abuser, of course, I lost my job and I had no health insurance. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to die. What's going to happen if I'm not dependent on all of these people that care for me so much? I'm going to tell you how I got into this. Okay, so there I was like, oh, my God, I have no insurance, whatever. I'm just going to sit here and die. Clearly, I was depressed and my children are feeding and clothing me. And I want to add this, too. I'm in a sports museum. Okay, so I'm not this weak little person that's used to being dependent. So there I was, dependent. One of my friends said, if I sent a masseuse to your house, would you let her work on you? And I'm like, dude, right on. Okay, sure. Well, turns out she was a native healer. And she's like, you're really toxic. Your blood's blah, blah, blah. Speaking this language I didn't understand because I was a nutrition major in school and exercise science, physical therapy. I knew everything mainstream, right? And she's like, you need to go pick those dandelions out in your yard and make a tea. And I'm just like, dude, whatever you're smoking, can I please have some? That was like the craziest thing I'd ever heard. Because again, growing up in the city, don't touch it, it's poison, blah, blah, blah. So my children went out and picked 6 or 7 dandelions, made me a tea. And I have since referred to dandelion as the gateway drug. The very next day when I drank the tea, there was a marked improvement. Like I could not walk, but I felt so good. I was ready to walk. And so what I did, I started doing push-ups. You know, I was on the floor and doing mat work. And so now I'm unusually flexible because of that. But yeah, so that's how I started to find out that Mother Nature was smarter than man.
Did you ever notice that that it's demonized? You know, that comes off as the dandelions. Oh, that's a weed. Pull it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's so you can have your beautiful house and beautiful wife.
Well, and of course, chicks with long hair that play with herbs were witches, and we must be burned.
Yeah, right.
I lived in the Bible Belt. I've experienced that firsthand.
Yeah, there's a lot of hang-ups like that. They're still kind of linger in the Bible Belt.
You know what, though? It all boils down to the programming. And if anybody knew to discern, talk to someone in the Bible. Like people, they would say, "Oh my God, you use herbs, and that's so weird." And I would be like, "Well, why aren't you using God's medicine? You're going to trust a sorcerer in a white coat giving you a synthetic pill, you know, isolating a compound from Mother Nature. That doesn't work." So, and that's cool. Everybody can choose what they want to do. I'm not a pusher. I'm there for people who are at the end and are ready to give up everything they think they know, which is a really tough pill to swallow. It's super easy, though. That's the thing. And when you simplify health, their head spins because they don't believe that it's so easy. But it really is. And, you know, if we, especially people in the Bible Belt, if we come ye as little children, you know, we would have that innocence and that knowing, that connection to nature. You know, we would know what's right or what's wrong without a dude in a dress or badge or something else telling us what we need to do for ourselves, what's best for us.
Well, yeah, that's something else too. It's people, that fear comes in because somebody's wearing a uniform or a white coat or something like that. And because of that, they're the authority. We
bow down in an instant, don't we?
I know it.
Oh, my doctor said this, or oh, he said that. Or like the videos, the migrant march. Well, the police is the law. Don't you do it? Not funny. If it's unlawful.
That was funny though. I mean, I was just looking at that guy going, is this guy real? Is he for real saying that? You know, when the police tell you to do something, don't you obey? You know, like the police are the law. You know, they are the law. And I'm like, is this guy for real? You know?
Dude, everyone needs to see those videos. And I'm not exaggerating. It's just if people want to see, you know, because people get lost in there's always all these sides involved in every issue. And people get involved in fighting with the people that they think believe something different without ever actually talking to the people themselves. And not realizing that their leaders or the people giving them the orders to hate on whoever they're supposed to hate on, you know, are working for the exact same people they think they're fighting against. So it's not only that, just the abuse under color of law. There were so many dynamics at work in those videos that, you know, people live in a bubble and they think that they're safe in their little neighborhood and whatever. But this is not exclusive to me. I am not the only person that these things happen to. These things happen on the streets. Okay, these can happen on your streets. And I would hope that other people are better prepared for these shocks than I was. I was so naive and innocent and just like, whoa, okay, sure, I'll walk over you. You know, I had no idea what I walked into. But people, especially activists, I know activists, people are concerned about whatever issue, but you're only being fed part of the story. If you want to be effective, you're not going to be effective in whatever you're supporting by screaming at your neighbors on the streets, period. Okay, it's like, for example, I have friends which there was one, like, I had to ditch. I've known her for like 30 years, but she's on this Trump hating thing, and just because I'm not a Trump hater doesn't mean I'm a Trump lover. Okay, I'm just sick of that bull crap. But anyway, so she would say, oh yeah, he's such a jerk. He's taking food away from senior citizens, from Mexicans, from children, from poor people. He's outlawing people's, all of these things. And she's literally paralyzed on the computer, hating on that all day long, repeating ridiculous headlines. And I'm like, dude, why don't you go outside and feed some of those people you think that he's not feeding now? Go share, go ask your senior citizen neighbor if you can frickin' shovel their driveway. Like, go outside and feed those homeless people that are 2 blocks away from you. Like, there's just so many more effective ways that we can deal with the issues up close and we can solve the issues anytime we choose to get off our butts. And that's fact. And we're not going to solve the issues by begging somebody else to be nice, right? And
right.
Begging a doctor to, help me get off this pill, or begging, some authoritarian to save you or protect you. That doesn't happen. Yeah.
Right. We gotta take self-responsibility.
Exactly. That's what it's about. Like, you can complain about GMO foods till you're blue in the face. That's great. What are you doing about it? Go outside, plant a garden, problem solved. Oh, but the air is poison, the water is poison, blah. You know what? Whatever you can grow in your so-called poisoned air yard is way better than you can get by supporting slave labor and, again, genetically modified corporations and things like that in the store. My garden healed me. Okay, there's stupid excuses that are keeping you from finding your true power. Not only can you grow your own food, you can make your own medicine. And even without knowing anything, I guarantee if you have a yard, every weed that's in that yard growing right now is there for your benefit. Find out what it is. Use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wife's been researching a lot of those native plants of Texas that are, healthy type stuff that you can, and they're just wild. They're everywhere, which is pretty cool because we'll be taking a walk and she'll be, oh yeah, you can eat that. And she'll point at it. Yep, that's it. She'll look real close at it. Yeah, that's just like I saw, that's just like the picture that he showed. I don't know what a lot of that stuff is, but we've always been ones to, take care of ourselves, be a little bit more independent, not so dependent on everybody else to for the answers, find them, get out there and find them for yourself. There's a good old saying that kind of goes along with what you were talking about, the GMOs, food, just, vote with your wallet. Don't buy that crap.
It's so simple. It really is. And it just, I'm over the days of hearing, and, I was in radio over a decade, and it started off, I was shocked finding out the problems. And then we went through all the problems, and then it's like, okay, well, do I just get stuck in this loop and keep having the same old guests on every show, repeating the same old blah, blah, blah that's been going on the same, all these decades? Or, so then I focused on, all right, we already know, so what do we do about it? Right. I don't need to tell you again, shit's poison. It is. Okay, so get over it, stop crying, fix it.
Well, what you said a few minutes ago about the fear, that's the bottom line. Fear. People's fear of anything, including doing the right thing, which is understanding how they've been deceived and conned into all these systems that we've talked about before and time again. You know, the political system that's in place, the food system, the doctor systems, all these are meant to gain profit for a bunch of greedy types, and people are you know, brainwashed to be using them, and that's again the bottom line of everything is the fear that's to depart from these things. So anyway,
it's like when folks don't talk about politics or religion. You know, I got news for you. If you're a 14th Amendment citizen, you're in politics.
yes.
Yeah, and you know, as far as the other end of it, you know, that's you know, spirituality has really nothing to do with religion, in my opinion. You know, that's
true.
That's between you and your creator, and so that necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, talked about. I guess, I mean, you can, but when people say that about politics, I kind of got to laugh, because, you know, you're in politics. That's what you are. It's a political system, and you've agreed to be in it.
Oh yeah, like I was telling this woman I talked to for several hours the other day, that the state is your religion, because the robes that the priests wear of the Catholic Church and so on, and the judges wear, are called Geneva robes, and basically, everyone thinks they're practicing their own religion, but they're really not, because the state is the ultimate religion. And it's run by the, you know, I go over this in my writings in the book a bit, but it's a synagogue of Satan. The whole system is. And people have been so deceived by all this. And, like Frank just said, if you're, you know, not claiming your rightful nationality, you know, and taking that back, which has been stolen under color of law and fraud, you're agreeing to this religion called the state. And I might add that the Bible mentioned that the only true religion is, or honest or true religion is, taking care of the widows and orphans. You know, and I was looking at the Wisconsin Constitution this last week, and lo and behold, there was a section in the original 1848 Constitution of Wisconsin that said the state shall not allow lotteries and divorces. They should not legislate anything pursuant to that. What do we have today? I said to myself, who are these people? I know who they are. They're communist. They're Marxist. They've destroyed everything that America was 150 years ago. And they're imposters. They're playing like they're the lawful governments that were originally instituted, and they're not. And of course, I believe that the whole thing was set up to do what it's done anyway, progressively, to destroy, you know, what once was. And the simple fact is the system in place now is nothing more than what Martin Luther was facing or challenging back, you know, in the 1500s with the church. And of course, people came over here to get away from the church, and the church followed. And, you know, it gets deeper than that. It's all controlled ultimately by the synagogue of Satan. Of course, you know, I'm talking the Bible, but again, Congress has recognized the Bible. And the people that don't, you know, they've been taught to say it's full of stories and BS, but it's not. It's what's ruled the Western civilization, and, you know, Europe, and, you know, many countries for 2,000 years. So you can't just say it's nonsense, because it's not. So it's controlling everything, good or bad. It's a fact. Anyway, I could go on forever with that, but fear and ignorance. Ignorance breeds fear. So if you're going to remain ignorant, if you don't have that knowledge, you're not going to have the courage to do anything. So it's all reciprocal, or a vicious cycle or circle. So anyway, I'm like I said, I'll go on for hours with that. But anyway, Frank, do you have any questions for Christie? No, I don't. I know we've had our debates on the internet, which I hate. I got kicked.
What do you hate?
Oh, I don't know. You tend to get into this
debating.
anarchy thing, which I'm totally against. It's bad, but
I just don't believe in giving my power away to anyone.
Well, that's simply
and
put.
I don't just talk it, though I live it. I
Right.
don't. Anarchists don't. I mean, and that's the thing. I used to believe that they were what is displayed on the media, and I thought that the socialists and the social justice warriors freaking out on me, I was told they were anarchists, and I thought that's what it was. But
Well, like Frank and I have discussed, and I've mentioned or noted that, there's like 10,000 versions of what anarchy is, and basically,
sure. But it's not a group. So true anarchy is just without rulers. So that's all. I'm not like promoting anything or any other than self-sufficiency, self-responsibility, and what works for each individual. I wouldn't force any of my beliefs or anything I do on anyone. I make choices in my life to be independent and free of, granted I am in the system somewhat. I have to drive a car to get to my minimum wage job, but I do like it. And because I drive the car, I have to have a license and I have to have registration and insurance. And I don't like that, but the way it is right, I mean, it has to be that way for me right now, because as self-sufficient as I am in other areas, I am not financially sufficient. So unfortunately, I have to remain a slave in a number for now. Not because I want to, not because I believe it or in it, but I just do what I can so I can feed myself and wipe my butt. Like 4 years without an income and not knowing, being able to buy toilet paper wasn't fun. So I don't disagree with you, anything you do or anything you say at all. For the record, I just want to say that I respect it. I love it. I know people that do it. And again, I would do it if I was in a position where I didn't have to go to a job and do these things right now.
I appreciate that, and likewise, I don't disagree with anything that you do or say, except for that one little thing that.
It's okay.
I just
be free to disagree.
Anarchy's become a fly in the ointment, so to speak. It's created a breed of people that don't want to learn how to overtake all this properly. So that's why I have a real. I
agree with that.
I've heard so many. I've heard so many different definitions of anarchy. And of course, like you said, it's the absence of rulers, of course. But we had a guy on the call. I don't know, it was 2 or 3 weeks back on the introductory call for PAC, and he was saying that anarchy was free stuff for everyone. Free place to live, free clothes, free food, all that kind of stuff. And he goes, and when everybody's basic needs like that are met, then we can move forward, And I'm like, dude, that's socialism. I don't know who told you that was anarchy.
Yeah,
Well, that's just another definition or belief. That's BS. And let's don't get stuck on this subject because it's ridiculous.
I say people promote lots of different things, and again, if they were true anarchists, they wouldn't be promoting it because it's an individual thing. So,
well, it's also
more on the lines of Lysander Spooner. So. Enough said. It doesn't entail anything. It just entails me taking care of myself, my loved ones, and my community. And that's all.
Right.
I try to not support corporations. I buy gas and I buy like toilet paper and stuff like that at Walmart. Why? Because it's the only place I can, and that sucks and I hate it.
Walmart's the evil empire.
Like, look, I moved to an area where we don't have stores, corporations, fast foods, banks. It's all local. It's all farmland. It's, so I practice what I preach, and I have done what I can to be away from dependence. And that's unfortunately as far as I can go right now. But it's amazing. It's just so cool to be in a place where everyone grows, everyone raises food, medicine. They do for themselves. They build their own, it's beautiful. People do things and they're not reliant on corporations except for maybe their monthly run to town to get toilet paper and basics, things that they don't provide themselves.
Yeah, it's about building community. It's about people working together in their local areas too, as well as taking care of themselves. It used to be like that, years ago, and now it's, well, if I can find something cheaper over here 2 cities away, I'm going to go over there, and get it. Not even considering the time and gas it takes to go get it. It's just more considering that, the money's saved, which is really just, stepping over dollars to save pennies. In my opinion. Even
though I could qualify for disability and all that stuff and be dependent on the system, I'm not. I don't, and I won't. So, whatever. I have a license and I buy gas and I pay an insurance company so that I can. That's the most difficult aspect of my life, but whatever. I'm fed. I'm healthy, and I did it. So,
yes.
Right. Well, everybody's got, that's a situation we're all in. Everybody's in that. Of course, LB is not, because he got himself out of that loop 20 years ago.
You did too, didn't you? Aren't you?
I haven't yet. I'm working toward that. They've got their claws into me right now too. So I'm kind of in a similar situation where, I'm pulling those claws out.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Well, and
it takes time,
Yeah, I was brainwashed too. I thought all that was what I was supposed to do. That was the American dream.
Yeah.
Scheme, you mean?
Make good credit.
It's the American scheme.
Yeah, the American scheme.
Yeah, you found out it was the American scheme.
I've always been kind of independent anyway. I wasn't one to go to college or to go to go get a job and work for 30 years and retire with a gold watch.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I needed more independence. So that's half the battle right there. I think that most people are unable to complete the process or at this time because they've got a job. They're stuck. They're in that rut. They got to have. They're depending on their employer to keep food on the table. I don't have anybody to look up to except myself. My wife and I, we take care of that, and if we don't, if things get slow, we got to hustle to get the work coming in, Yeah,
so, well, the problem is I've been criticized for years about getting people out of the system and they have no place to go, which is nonsense, because there's ways to fight these people for getting work. Like I say, communists have jobs, men work. But there's ways around that. And the only other way that each individual doesn't have to overcome that is if we have a bunch of people working together. But the fear of these people is compounded by these people that are doing things wrong, and they're getting shot down or hurt or not hurt financially, not just hurt. I'm not talking about physically. I haven't seen anyone get hurt physically per se, but they get hurt in many other ways. And the only way you're going to overcome that is working together. And these island makers, as I call them, that are creating problems, they're going out there and not willing to help us expand things, or so they're creating bad precedents. Just like
people don't want to do anything. Look how many so-called patriots and good, concerned Americans, militia, all these people that supposedly supported me or what I was doing or the, exposing the agenda, etc. Nobody helped in any way. They watched
I know,
me
it's
go
pathetic.
through all of that. They watched me go homeless. They watched me die in a hospital. They watched it like it was like I was free freaking entertainment. Not
Right.
one of them. Well, no, there were a few angels along the way.
Sure.
But when I say not one of them, I'm referring to people that say I promoted or helped or worked with or said they wanted me back in, all of these things. Not one of them could say give up a nail appointment, a hair appointment, or a beer so that I could have toilet paper or food.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't walk. I was on the freaking homeless, unable to walk and complete a coherent sentence. Yeah, stick together my butt. Nobody, they just watched it.
That's why I've been pushing before I got thrown off Facebook for the second time, which I'm done with that, people. I'm not going back on there. It's worthless. We could use it for a good tool, but everyone's so narcissistic and about themselves that it's just a dead end. But anyway, I was pushing the 7 deadly sins. Americans love every one of them. And it's really sad, that people are so about themselves. And that's why nothing's working for anything en masse. Like I've said for years, America won't be fixed until Americans fix themselves, and that's what Christie's all about. Yep. So that's it in a nutshell,
right? Instead of that's what I see everyone going around trying to fix everyone else, but they haven't cleaned out their own closet.
Right. These even the Bible thumpers, and I said to this someone the other day about this thing that people say these days. You don't judge me. The Bible says you can't judge me, and I go, no, it doesn't say that at all. That thing that they're quoting says, don't be a hypocrite. Don't judge others unless you judge yourself first. So
to be judged.
Yeah, exactly. So people twist things around for their own benefit, and they're just in delusion. It's like the fairy tales they're taught when they're kids, Cinderella story and all this. Instead of truth and natural law or natural things like you talked about, Christie. Everyone's in this la-la land, instead of being real.
You reminded me of something hilarious when you said that. So when all this stuff started happening and they had to prove I was a bad mom, I was accused of child abuse for not celebrating Christmas the way other people did. Yeah. So I'm like, for me, I just couldn't lie to my children. I couldn't tell them that the Easter Bunny lays eggs.
Right.
And the dude is, sliding down our chimney. I mean, I talked to them about the spirit of and history and things like that, but not, like what it meant. But I didn't believe in having a $700 light bill to decorate my house or to kill another tree and max my credit cards for Jesus. It just, and so I was open with my children like that. And so that was one of the first indicators of what a horrible mom I was.
Yeah, I'm not a Christian. Jesus is a mentor, and
these people
that's
aren't
it.
Either.
I know they're not. Well, Christians, Jesus didn't create Christians. The church did, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what Martin Luther fought about. He discovered something that was monumental in the way the church was teaching things wrong, and they're still doing it today. So all these Christians, so-called Christians in America, are just false.
Well, they're hypocrites because
they're hypocrites. Yeah,
because they're following the evil plan. Yet they're Christians. They go to church every Sunday. They donate their hard-earned tithing money to the church, and that church. How do you know what they spend it on? Do you know what they spend it on? Fancy cars. Look at
Yeah.
Joel Osteen. He's one of them. Him and Kenneth Copeland and Jerry Savelle and Jesse Duplantis. All them guys. They're all a bunch of televangelists, and they're living high on the hog, and they taking your money. Oh, if you don't send us this $257 gift, you're not going to get your spot in heaven. You know, it's just a game. It's just another scam. It's a control mechanism. Fear not. You don't have to have fear. Government puts out the fear. The churches come in and take the fear away, as long as you pay them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that other one, render under Caesar's. What is Caesar's? You know.
Yeah.
You know that one gets. That one's manipulated as well. You know what you have to do is you have to reinvent yourself. You got to take and peel back those layers of brainwashing that you've been brainwashed with, and that hurts people. It's like it's painful because they're comfortable. It's their comfort zone, and they're comfortable living that way. You know, the fear goes away because they've got that $10,000 credit card in their pocket. You know, they've got that line of credit that's coming down there. They just bought a new house. Well, yeah, you know, everybody's got to make a payment on a house. Really? Is that how it has to
works.
be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get criticized for not being materialistic.
Yeah, we got this comment in here. Church is just a place to show off your latest fashion. You know, look what I just.
Oh my God, that is so true. Oh
Yeah.
wow. That really hits home with me, that comment, because I went to those churches and just, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'll just say the same church that Oprah Winfrey goes or used to. I don't know if she still does, but yeah, in Santa Barbara. So yeah, it is. It's exactly just a place to show off your. Hey, I was one of those people. I get it. I'm not knocking it. We all have our programming to break through, and yep, been there, done that. What can I say? I'm glad I grew up. That's all.
Well, yeah, we're all in that position where we believe. Our belief system is that that's the right thing to do. So even though you believe what you're doing is the right thing, doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
It doesn't make it the right thing to do. And a lot of times doing the right thing is painful.
Yeah. And really, I found a true test of strength is to be able to consider other alternatives, no matter what it is, whether it's someone you think looks funny or whether it's someone you think has a different belief. You know, for me, I want to know where it comes from, and I don't want to hurt anyone over, you know, like these whole wars and people want to kill people because of their beliefs. If we don't get them first, you know, then they'll get us. And I just think that's crazy because we're more alike than different, and we all have the same needs. And I'll just use for an example, LB, like that one thing you don't like about me, and that's totally okay, by the way.
Well,
I'm just pointing it out because no, the only reason I'm pointing it out is to show that you and I like believe all the same things and pretty much do the same things, but we just use different words. And that's why people need to communicate over, well, what does this mean to you? You know, so like the term, conservatism, Democrat, like all of this, Republic, every word has been changed. Nice. You know, you talk about this and the root words and, oh, yeah, we're going to be nice. But what does that really mean? Like, we don't even really know. So the way we find out and solve problems is by asking the other person or whatever what they mean when these words are brought forth.
You know, a lot of that, what you're saying there is true. You know, they've changed a lot of words and definitions and meanings, and that gets back to that anarchy thing where there's so many different interpretations of it. But
Jay Castro in that video, who came to me and he says, I'm the absolute opposite of this woman. Well, guess what? When we talked after that and became dear friends, we were exactly the same. We were just using different words, and we were coming from different programming, but so we didn't know. We both prejudged each other because we were part of a group that told us what to think about people standing on the other side of that line.
I'd like to read something here that was, it's from PACandlaw.us bottom line.
All right.
The coalition empathizes that there are people who feel they must remain part of the rebellion. The rebellion is this insurgent government takeover as of the 14th Amendment, what we were just talking about, having to get driver's license and all that stuff. That aside, unity is still needed. We have put together an evolutionary plan for all people to come together, the PAC Alliance program. The main program points are: 1, build local communities; 2, correct the nationalities of people; and 3, watch what they are doing. The 2 primary points assist in taking back communities by building local economies. The people who correct their nationalities safeguard them from the legislation that purviews through the 14th Amendment system. Regrettably, as the situation exists, most people center on watching what their government is doing, but do nothing but complain and live in fear. This is what the adversary wants. So in regard to point 3, we will not just be watching we will be exposing their deeds through effective programs due to unity. We are not selfish sovereigns. We care about one another. We are building local communities. We are lawful bodies politic of the American Union. We want our countries back from the rebels. And this, like I said, this came from PACandlaw.us bottom line. And what he's saying in here is watching the government and also basically taking them to task. Like he had said, LB had said prior in the conversation here that, there's a lot of folks that have had their status fixed, but they couldn't make it for one reason or another. It's because they weren't willing to reinvent themselves. They weren't willing to do what it takes to be a success at it. You can be successful at anything you want. I've been successful at a lot of things in my life, and the things that I weren't successful at, well, I just really didn't desire to be that successful at it. After going back and realizing and wiping away all that blame, because you can blame anybody for anything you want, but the fact of the matter is that you're responsible for everything in your life. And if you want this to work, you can make it work. And there's people there now that are in our system, in our society, in the State National Society, that have taken these individuals to task, these agencies to task, and they've overcome. They've gotten things that people could say, oh, well, you can't do that. Well, I got news for you. Yes, you can, but you have to have you got to have the status for it. You got to change your
standing.
Status. Yes. Your standing is what it is. It's a standing.
Frank, we're almost out of time. I want Christie to wrap up how she can be contacted, her sites, etc.
Well, okay. Darn, that went quick.
Yeah. It was fun.
It was really fun to be back here on radio, and thank you both for inviting me. Let's see. So to get a hold of me, I'm Christie Aphrodite everywhere, meaning Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm also a photographer, and I do sell my work, enlargements and greeting cards and postcards and things. And I've been getting in stores again and setting myself up with my own businesses again so I can take that next step again out of the system. Let's see. So Phro, PHRO-Zen Moments Photo. You know what? Here's the best way for anyone to find me. Hashtag Phro died here. That's PHRO died, DIED here, HERE. And that came about when I died in the hospital and went on my journey to either die or heal myself. So and then my health and herb site, which, hasn't been updated, or my homelessradiomagic.com hasn't been. But again, now I'm settled and have internet. Hopefully that'll all get back. But mytrueessence.weebly.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Christie, for being here with us. I just want to remind everybody that we have a People's Awareness Coalition introductory call. HelloFreeConferenceCalling.com. The code number is 1231335. I hope to see you all there. Come on and we'll teach you the introduction to the PAC Coalition and help you answer any of your questions. We have a discussion at the end. Thanks for listening. Thanks. You, Revolution Radio. Thanks, LB.
Thank you. Thank you. All.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed, people working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country is founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined at the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This is our war. And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning, warning.
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
See how the trouble you've started?
Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio of Freedom Slips.